can fun really be a spiritual thing? I'm like, well, it was to Jesus. And there was a reason people liked being around him. And it isn't just because he was smart. He was winsome too. And a lot of times, and I would say in him, it shows that fun is part of that.
Well, we have Annie F. Downs back on the show again. This is exciting because, Annie, you've got a new book. This is cool.
I'm just excited for any reason to get to talk to you guys. So I'll keep writing books if it keeps getting me over here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We'll take flattery in any form.
Well, no
I
kidding.
mean it. Y'all know how this goes.
That's right.
I mean, we get to sit around and talk to a lot of people. Y'all do too. And there's some that you go like, I'll do that one because you want me to. And there's some that you go, I'll do that one because I want to.
There
So
we go.
I'm happy to be back.
Oh, that's fun. I like that. Now, 100 days to discover fun right where you are. Is this more like a devotional, or how would you describe this?
Yeah, I'm going to tell y'all the whole truth of what happened because it's not my proudest moment. When I wrote Let's All Be Brave a few years ago, when I finished the book, the people who read it said, okay, thank you for telling your story, but how do I do that in my life? And I thought, oh, that's so embarrassing. I told you the what and the when. I just didn't tell you how, right? So that's why I wrote 100 Days to Brave a few years ago. And then I did it again. So I wrote That Sounds Fun. And as I'm writing That Sounds Fun, and it comes out and people start reading, they're like, great, you're right, Annie, I want to have fun, but you didn't tell me how. And I was like, you know what, great point, great point. I tend to do this. I tend to apparently write the how books separate. And so that's why we did it, because we realized people really want to chase the fun. They really want to find fun in the life they already have and not feel the pressure to have a bunch of money or a bunch of time or to have to change their whole life. And so I got to start having all these conversations after last winter when the book came out and realized, like, man, there is more here that we can teach and we can help and we can lead so that people are finding new hobbies. And y'all know me. I mean, the long-term goal always is bridge people to Jesus.
Right.
Right? We just built a really fun bridge.
Amen. Yeah, whatever that explanation was, Annie, all I know is you want to sell more books. That's why you did that. So,
yeah, thanks for knowing my heart. You really have got a good read on me. So nailed it.
Now, let's talk about the, whenever we talk about fun, there's probably those that listen and go, wait a second. Is this of God? Can we really?
Sure.
Can we have fun here, or is this naughty? What do you think?
Yes. Well, I mean, truth is, it's why you do what you do that determines whether it's naughty or nice, right?
Yeah,
so it's your motivation behind it.
Yep.
But what we know from Scripture, let me prove to you how fun Jesus is. Because once we prove how fun Jesus is, people get on board because everybody wants to be like him. Me too.
Yep.
For starters, the first miracle he does is turning water into wine at a wedding, right? Everybody loves talking about that story. My favorite part of that story is that the bride and groom invited a bunch of 20-year-old guys to their wedding, which says to me they were really fun. That's that crowd getting it. It says Mary was invited and Jesus and his friends. So when that invite went out, the bride and groom said, Jesus, bring all your boys. We want everybody out on the dance floor, right? So we know. And then the other thing is kids loved Jesus. Kids love people who are fun.
Yes.
There was some twinkle in his eye or some tone in his laugh. There was something that made him really inviting. And it's the reason things like Veggie Tales and all that works is because it's a fun way to talk about the gospel. And Jesus was like that. And so when people tell me it's not, when people say things like that of like, can fun really be a spiritual thing? I'm like, well, it was to Jesus. And there was a reason people liked being around him. And it isn't just because he was smart. He was winsome too. And a lot of times, and I would say in him, it shows that fun is part of that.
I like that.
Amen.
That's good. That's really good.
Life gets crazy. Life gets busy. I think about my average day where it's like you go to work, you come home, you do the things that you have to do. And before you know it, the day is gone. You're getting into bed and you're like, I barely had time to do what I needed to do, let alone have fun. So where do we find that fun in life?
Oh, Missy, if we were playing baseball, you just like softballed me just a home run. And I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful to you. Because here's what is true. What you listed just then is the schedule of a person who does everything that they need to do for their day to be healthy and then has some things left on the to-do list. Often, what is true about fun is it is on the to-do list instead of on the calendar of things that make you more healthy and happy. And the reality is we've got to switch the list that we have fun on. Because you're going to eat your meals, you're going to sleep, you're going to go to work, you're going to work out, you're going to be with your people. All of that is going to happen because we have all made the decision, I can't be the best version of me without this. You know, we don't know anybody who's like, I haven't slept in a week because I just couldn't find time.
Right.
Right? No, it's not an option, right? And so my encouragement to you, Misty, and to all of our friends is instead of having a fun thing on your to-do list that you may not get to, because we never get to the end of our to-do list. That is the nature of how they work. The reason we have to-do lists is we keep adding to them and checking off, but we keep adding. So instead, we move fun over, and we put fun in this category of like, it actually makes me healthy as a person to work on a puzzle for 30 minutes a day and listen to music that I love, or to cook food that maybe maybe is to feed my family, and maybe I'm just making bread for my neighbor. Or to be out in the garden, or to cross stitch, or to go on a jog. We fit in the things that make us healthy. We just need to retrain our brains that fun is a thing that makes us who we want to be.
That's good.
Yeah.
Priorities.
Yep.
Yeah.
I told y'all,
love
Misty
it.
made it easy on me. I just have to tell her what I believe.
She's good. She's good. Well, here's Sally on a plate. I love to plan for fun. In fact, my husband says I love planning for it more than I love the actual event, which leads me to the question of after the event, whatever it is, something big in my life is this big downward spiral. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Party's
I just
over.
end up feeling,
Boo.
yes, I feel
Yep.
so bummed,
Yes.
like seriously bummed. And that's just not my personality, but there it is.
Yeah, I mean, Sally, I think part of it is we have to tell ourselves the truth that for some personality types like you and I, the anticipation is as enjoyable as the event, if not more
Yes.
so. And so we need to start saying to ourselves, in the anticipation, this is part of the fun for me. My fun has actually started now.
Yes.
So I'm going to see a friend play a concert in Iowa because I've never been to Iowa. And it's not till September. Well, I'm like listening to his playlist on Spotify. I'm like, I am aware that my preparation for this trip might be more fun than the actual trip or might equal it. But because I'm aware of it, the length of the fun is doubled. Right? Because it's not just the event, it's the awareness that leading up to it. Now, when it ends, I will feel sadness for sure. So Sally, what I tell my friends and what I do for myself is call it what it is. Let your feelings be your feelings. I feel sad that this is over. I'm sorry this is done. I think we've talked about this before, y'all, but we can let our feelings ride, but they don't need to drive. One of my
good.
pastor friends says your feelings can ride with you because they're true, and they can even pick the music. Just don't let them make the decisions about where the car is going, right? And so for me, when a thing ends, usually if we're doing our to-do list right, like Misty said, we actually hopefully have the next fun thing already on the list. And we can, in our sadness and in our I'm disappointed that that's over, turn to, okay, so the next thing. So here's my example real quick. I've had made a list this summer called the best summer ever. I wanted to have the best summer ever with concerts and events and even just like I got a new kayak that I wanted to take out and
Cool.
and inflatable. It's awesome. And I had like 4 weddings to be a part of this summer. So I've made this list. Well, as we're creeping toward the end, I started my best fall ever list. I wasn't planning on it, but I thought this is going to be sad when this ends. I need to start something to get excited about that's next. And so it's about calling the anticipation part of the fun like it is and planning for what's next before the thing you're in is over.
That's good. So Sally, you just need to plan more. You know?
I know.
Yeah, Sally, just more
it.
planning, more planning.
Exactly. I mean,
I love that.
That's right. You're just extending the fun longer and longer.
Yeah.
Why not? You talk a lot about it's okay to be an amateur in friendship and romance and leadership. What do you mean by that, an amateur? I think I'm an amateur in all those. I'm not very professional. But yeah. What do you mean?
Well, I think part of it is giving each other permission that we've never done today before. Right? So even if you've been married for 40 years, you've been never been married today.
Right.
And even if you've had your job for a decade, you have never done what is required of you today. And yet we need professionals. We need people who train us. I want my therapist to be a professional.
Well, that's a good point.
Right. So, and y'all are professional at your job. Y'all are some of the best at it. I'm a professional at my job. And yet, we also need to give ourselves permission that I haven't had every conversation that is going on in culture publicly before. So it's okay for me to make missteps. It's okay for me to figure things out. Now, we have to give each other that permission while we're giving ourselves that permission of going, man, I bet that person is learning. Something I've been talking a lot about lately is we need to give each other permission to learn at the speed of learning, not learn at the speed of the internet. So someone we follow or someone we listen to has a misstep on the internet and says something sideways or does something we don't agree with, but they say, hey, I'm sorry, and I'm going to learn and be better. They don't need to be different today.
Sure.
They need to be different in 4 weeks. We need to at least let Amazon deliver a book to their door and give them time to read it.
Right.
Right? So let's let each other be amateurs and learn and grow and change. But it also comes down to hobbies, too, where you want to be like, well, I can't bake bread because I've never tried it. Well, yeah, you can. Get started. Like, be an amateur at that. That we do. There is real joy in trying new things, and failure is important, which I hate it. I don't want to say that to you. I want to tell you that we just only succeed up and to the right forever, you know? And it's just not true. And so I had something go pretty sideways a couple of weeks ago with work, about 2 months ago now. And it was very painful in the middle. And now on this side, I'm like, we don't have enough time to list all the things I learned. Yeah. And all the ways that I'm better going forward. And so we need failure as part of fun, too, which is sad. We got to fall off the skateboard sometimes to realize how we actually need to lean. And so that's true in conversation and relationship. And it's just everywhere. Let the people you love be amateurs at some things that they're learning and growing in. And don't force yourself to be a pro at anything except your job.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, when you go back to when you were a kid, like learning to ride a bike, falling is a part of learning to ride a bike. But as adults, we don't want to do any of that. We want to be excellent at everything right off the bat. And so to allow yourself to goof up, I think is, it's permission to start something, really, because when we start it, it's probably going to be fouled up anyway.
That's right. And what we tell ourselves is, you know what? I just won't try that. I'm too old. Right. I'm too tall. I'll fall too far. Right. Or my time has passed. But I was having this conversation with some of my girlfriends this weekend talking about this new exercise we all want to try. And a friend of ours on the internet who's about a decade older than us has been doing it. And I said to them, listen, we've got time that she doesn't have, and she's modeling for us that in 10 years from now, we're going to wish we'd practiced this back here. And we'd wish we started something new. And so we're even seeing people, we're getting to do it for other people. I'm not married yet, so I get to model to some degree for people younger than me. How do you have a single flourishing life that you didn't think you'd have in your 40s, right? So I'm not a pro at this. I'm an amateur at this, but I'm also getting to model for other people. You can try and fail and try again and still have a really good life.
It's good.
Love it. Love it. You know, I love what you said, Kank, that with kids, when they fall down, we applaud them, but we miss so many opportunities because we haven't accomplished it yet. And yet accomplishing it's part of the journey. I can now see that, Annie. What a beautiful example. And now I'm dying to know what you want to learn that you don't know yet, that somebody else is older than you.
That's a great question. She's doing, she is doing, it's Pioneer Woman. It's Ree Drummond. She's just been writing about all these exercises she's doing. And my girlfriends and I have just been Marco Poloing back and forth and going like, Ree is a decade ahead of us in life and showing us all the ways she's getting stronger in her body. And we're all going like, she probably wishes she was 42 watching someone who is 52 make these choices and doing it a decade before. You know, that's what we're learning is all these new exercises.
It just points out all the limits we put on ourselves and all the opportunities to miss out. You touched on hobbies. I have to kind of grab that because this is another issue for Sally is I can't see picking up a hobby that doesn't have something to display for my effort. So like playing the piano, for example, once you've played the song, it's gone, you know? And so I really struggle with where... I know, I'm a mess.
I never thought of it like that.
Sally, do you glue your puzzles together after you finish them and hang them up in your house?
I just recently, wow, you are amazing. I just left the puzzle up Like, is there a camera in here? I mean, that's just weird. I had a puzzle out on a table, and I left it there until the dust was like several inches. Well, that's an exaggeration.
Yeah.
The dust was covering what the actual image was, because I couldn't, because it was done.
Yeah.
Accomplished
And that's
it.
actually okay. The thing you're saying is not something that should keep people from exploring a hobby or from getting some downtime to do something that matters to them. One of my favorite pastors, Matt Chandler, teaches this, and he's quoting someone else, but he says, if you work with your hands, Sabbath with your mind, rest with your mind. And if you work with your mind, rest with your hands. And so for y'all's job and for my job, we're not outside building. We're not doctors doing surgeries. Our brains are kind of leading our day. And so for you to do a hobby that makes something is totally fine. That's totally fine. Now, if in your brain, your hobby making time is, I need this to accomplish something, or what does it say about me? You probably should explore that. Yeah. But at the end of a hobby, so I'm a cross stitcher. I love it. And it also is saving me from like watching TV and scrolling on my phone. Scrolling is not a hobby. Right. And so what I'm doing is cross stitching. Well, I'm making something. I'm making gifts for people. I'm making something for my own house. It's okay if there's something on the other side of your hobby. The question, like circling back to what we said at the beginning, between naughty and nice. I mean, the thing you need to ask yourself is, why does it matter to me that there's something on the other end of my hobby? Not should there be. I don't like to should people anyway, so I'm not going to should you either way. But why does it matter to you that there's something on the other end of the hobby? And that's just the question I'd explore with my community and with God.
Yeah. I love that, Annie. Thanks.
Yeah. You also were talking about how failure is kind of an inevitability when we're trying new things. Not everything is going to work for us.
Misty. What? Don't make us talk about failure.
No.
Misty,
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to try and not everything be for you. But here is the deal. Like, there are people of me who are terrified of not being great at something the first time. And so my natural inclination is, well, if I'm not going to be awesome at it, maybe I just don't try it. Like, how do we gather that gumption to step outside our comfort zone and just go for it and try it and do it anyway, even though we may not be the best at it?
If you and I were having coffee, and you can answer this or you can push this off. If you and I were having coffee and you said that, I would say back to you, what is the rest of the sentence? If the start of the sentence is, if I try that and fail, it's going to say what about me?
Oh my goodness. I guess just a lack of perfection, which I don't know why I think I could ever attain perfection to begin with. Kind of a silly thing to strive for.
And is it saying something to you about what other people are going to feel about you if you're not perfect?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
100%, yes.
Right.
Insecurity is what it musters, or what it boils down to, yeah.
Me too. That's the only reason I know, is because me too. And because I talk to people all the time about fun, and so often what stops us from doing something that we won't necessarily be great at is, what is this going to say to me about me that I'm trying to avoid hearing? Right? And so then the journey, and this is why fun matters, y'all. Y'all are getting me all lit up. This is why fun matters, because this is a journey that actually matters in our spiritual life, but it starts by going, what if I'm scared if I start a garden, tomatoes are never going to grow? Right? Or what if I pick up a sport that I played in high school and I'm not good anymore? Or what if I sit down at that piano and I thought I could learn it quickly and it's not coming quickly? The reason we're afraid is because of something it says about us, some lie that the enemy has fed us about who we are. And so in that moment, Misty, what I do is I go, okay, let me think. Oh, I'll tell you an example that happened last weekend. I was in Orlando with a family. It's so sweet. I get to travel with this family, and they include me and everything, and the kids are elementary age. And I do not like water slides very much. And the boys were like, Annie, they call me Crazy Annie. Crazy Annie, will you come ride this water slide with us? And I'm going to say yes, even though I hate it, because you want the kids to make memories. I don't ever want fear to be what stops me from a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so I have to say these things in my head. And so I said, there's a yellow and a green one. You guys pick the one we do. I'm going to do one. And as we're walking up the stairs, I'm saying in my head, what is it, Annie? What is it about water slides? What are you afraid is going to happen if this doesn't go right? And I'm just going to tell you the whole truth. What I heard in my head is, you're afraid that you're going to go too fast because of your size, and it's going to be embarrassing. And I was like, oh, that's what this is. This is a lie about my body that's affecting me having fun with,
Wow.
with these kids that I really love. And so then I got to have this moment standing on the stairs, because you wait forever in line for a slide when there's a bunch of kids around. So I just got to have this real moment with God of like, oh, I am going to miss out on fun because of a lie I hear about my body. There are dads that are significantly taller, wider, and thicker than I am going down these slides, and they're not slinging off and ending up in the woods. They're fine. Like, this is a professional experience, right? So I'm getting to have this conversation with myself. Me and the kids are just yucking around, but in my head, I'm going, oh man, I almost missed out on fun because of a lie I believe in my head. And so then we went down the yellow slide, and I did not love it. And I still went faster than I like to go, but I knew why I didn't love it. And I knew what the conversation with God needed to be when I had a little more alone time. And I went back and rode the green one with him, because I thought, oh, if this is about the enemy telling me something, I know how you win this one. You do it again. So he can just hear me say, you don't stop my fun by lying to me about my body, right? Does that make sense,
yeah,
Misty,
absolutely.
about why I have to have that conversation with God?
Yeah.
And so this is why fun matters, because what started as just a water slide with kids ended up being a really deep wound that God wanted me to see and talked with him about.
Wow. That's it's really introspective. By the way, you're talking to somebody that won't write in her Bible because she thinks that it'll be messed up.
Oh, no. No. Oh.
So no highlighting.
Chris called me out
Wow,
just
Misty.
like that.
Wow, Misty. Well, listen, when we get to heaven and you have a clean Bible, you may sit one row in front of us, and I'll support it. It's fine. You may get a better seat for having a clean Bible, and that's fine. I'm going to be out there cutting the grass. I'm not even sure the Lord's going to let me in the meeting. I think I can get up there, and that's about it. But so you just get a better seat, and I'll support it.
Oh, I love it. Oh, my gosh.
What? I mean, you didn't know who you are. And, that kind of thing.
Right.
I think we're going to have words very soon.
What?
No, we're gonna have fun later,
I'm going to get hit.
Right.
I'm going to be punched. I know that.
and that's gonna be fun for me.
HR. So here's what would you say now that you've learned all of this, Annie? What would you say to your younger self regarding fun?
Yeah. One of the interesting things about me, Kate, is that I probably loved talking about fun this much when I was in my 20s, and I thought I was a late bloomer. I thought everyone else is growing up except me. I'm like the Peter Pan of our friend group. and I think what I know now that I think works for any of our friends listening, and for y'all and for me still, is there is a reason God made us the way he did, to even loving the things that we love to talk about. Because Paul says it so clearly, right? Where he's like, run the race marked out for you and finish. And he doesn't say, beat the people around you. He actually doesn't even say, go out and win by 1 million, right? He's just like, run the race and finish. And so I would go back to 20-year-old Annie. I'd be like, let me tell you about your lane and how much you will love being in your lane if you can just find it. Instead of feeling like, well, I should look like this, or I told you, I don't like to should people. I shoulded myself all the time. You should look like this. You should talk about this. You shouldn't do this. And instead going like, why do you love talking about fun? I wonder if that could actually be a gospel thing. I wish I'd have started exploring that better. So even people doing a little inventory in their own heart of like, what do I love talking about the most? And seeing how might God want to use that to be a bridge for people to Jesus in ways that you've never seen before.
That's good.
Love it.
Yeah, when I think about younger self, I just think of like my college years. It's like, I look back on it, I'm like, why was I trying to grow up so fast? Why didn't I take those opportunities? And, that's especially a time in your life you could explore things. And it's like, well, why didn't you go out and have a lot more fun? You could have. Yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
A small little Christian college, so that's probably a problem.
Maybe. We support those too. We're grateful for those too.
No, it was a great school. Great. No, it was John Brown University in Arkansas. It's a nice little school. So
I think it's interesting because I would also go back to my college self and be like, take a bigger variety of classes because you're surrounded by experts and you're taking stuff because you want to be done with school,
right?
Not because you want to be smarter.
Exactly.
Right? That just wasn't. I didn't love school like I would now. So, man, the other thing I tell college students, I'm like, wear your retainers. Your parents paid for braces. Wear your retainers. I just got done with Invisalign because I didn't wear my retainer. Ah.
That is so
I just
funny.
did the same thing. You know, real quickly, because I know our time is getting close here, and wow, we could go on forever. This is so fun.
Thank you.
It strikes me that we can either wait for somebody else to create the fun, or we can be behind creating a culture of fun. And even in a Christian network like we work for, or ministry, everybody's so dedicated to accomplishing that I think sometimes we could be the worst at remembering to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I got to talk with, I do some fun coaching like this.
Oh, yeah.
And
Wait
I
a
got
second.
to talk with those.
I can have a fun coach?
I just made it up.
That's
I just
awesome.
started doing it.
I love it.
It's great. It's so fun. Because all I do is this. I talk with people about their fun, and then I go like, have you thought about a puzzle? You know, like, it's so fun. So here's what I'll tell you is I talked with a school counselor last week, and that is her goal. She's like, we're serving 2,000 kids. There's 6 counselors. What can I do for our counselors? Because that's it. Like John Acuff talks about this a lot, about giving the gift of going second. And so if you will go first, what you're giving is everyone else the gift of going second. And so, and in workplaces, right, there's leadership, there's culture, there's a top down to it in some ways. But I said to that counselor, I was like, what if y'all just went and tried to find your goal this school year was to find the best guacamole in your town? That's all you got to do. Just like go eat at a Mexican restaurant once a month with your coworkers and rank the guacamole across your city. Like it doesn't have to be hard. If you can start something small and fun in your workplace that you invite other people to, if one person comes or everybody comes, who cares? We do a thing on Fridays called 4 on the Floor, where literally at 4 o'clock on Fridays, we just all gather kind of in our main room and just lay down. We just lay down. Everybody just gets to lay down. And it's 3 minutes of like, we're just going to lay here. It's been a long week. Well done, everybody.
Awesome.
And then we kind of finish up our week. But it's not a big deal. It's not required. It's not every Friday. It's just like 4 on the floor. Let's go. And that's what we do. It is. So it's little things like that. It's great.
I think you should require it. Then we can join Annie's crazy, weird cult that's everyone's laying on the floor.
I'll lay on the floor. You don't have to ask me twice.
No,
It's really
I'm right
fun.
with you, Misty. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, always a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah.
Good to see y'all. It's always
You're
so fun.
amazing.
Thanks for always supporting the work that so many of us get to do. We couldn't do our work without y'all. So I'm really, really
Oh,
grateful.
you are very welcome.
I guess we would say this has been fun.
Yes.
That's right. And that sounds
We've
like
been
fun.
chasing the fun.
Yeah.
Success.
Amen.
Well done.
Thank you, Annie. Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.